Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
There are typically more cons than pros to when you do the approach of trying to tell a woman your intentions for dating her, all right? And I'm going to go through what those are, right? So the first one is the big one, right? Which is potentially scaring off that potential partner. Because I think that men feel as though if we're 100% direct in our communication all the time, that's going to let a woman undeniably know what we're all about. But the problem is it doesn't take into account how women communicate. Women are already very good at reading situations and social cues, and we'll get more into that after we go through the cons list. But to say, so, and I've said this on the show before, when you tell a woman something in terms of like how you're feeling about things or what your intentions are, they're going to read into that 3 times more than you mean it to. So when you say to a woman you're on a date, hey, I just want you to know that this date's really great. I don't want to play around. I'm giving you my intentions. I intend to ask you out, and I intend to really like do it up on these dates, and I intend to hopefully end up in a relationship with you at some point. You're thinking you're just mapping out where you want to go. She's hearing that as, oh my God, he's already got such strong feelings for me that he's already planning for us to be in a relationship, and this is date 1, and I'm still trying to figure out if I liked the conversation I had with him. So now, because he seemed to have stronger feelings than I do at this point in time in the dating process, I got to be out because that's a lot of pressure. So this is why you don't have to necessarily verbalize so much like, hey, this is my intent for you, because you really could scare away women because, again, they're reading into a lot more than you're saying. The words that you're saying, they're reading so much more into, and they're also adding more intention to the words you're saying, and they're adding a backstory to what you're saying. So you got to be mindful of that if you're thinking about trying to voice what your intentions are. Another con is, I said this one, basically, it'll have her thinking that you're farther in your feelings than her. Yeah, so when you say things like, I can really see a future with us, I think you're so great, and I really want to do more things with you. Oh my gosh, I want to have you meet my family at some point. Like, all that is just pressure. It is date 1. It is about dinner, polite conversation, getting to know her. It is not about trying to let her know that you see a future with her already. And so doing that, it's going to make her feel as though you're already farther along than she is with the feelings, and you're going to be out. The third con of trying to tell a woman your intentions is that it takes away mystery and it takes away the spontaneity, And I know a lot of guys like to hear the idea of like mystery being a thing because they think that being mysterious means you're not being honest with her, you're holding back parts about yourself. You know what? It actually is. And it's actually a thing that women don't mind, because if you look at like the things women watch, women love mystery. You know why the Bachelor is so popular? The Bachelor is so popular because they give you an hour and a half of television, and then at the end they say, stay tuned next week. Now imagine if the first episode of The Bachelor, they just everything. The ladies walk out in The Bachelor, and the guy says, I don't like any of you except for you. Boom. The show is 5 minutes. Do you think that show would get ratings? No. So they got to dole it out. Most of those people probably know by like the 4th week who they want to pick, but the producers are like, nope. You got to stretch it out, because the women watching at home don't want the answer right away. They want the experience of getting to eventually know the answer. Just like with you, part of the fun of getting to know you is not knowing everything about you right away and not knowing all of your intentions right away, because it allows them to try to figure you out. It allows them to try to create a story about what you could be doing or what your actions could mean. Or you said this thing, but you didn't fully explain it. What does that mean? And now I got to talk to my girlfriends about it. And all these things only help to build up like her in your head. You in her head. On top of that, the spontaneity. One of the reasons I tell you guys, hey, wait a minimum of 4 days before you call a woman for that second date is because it's going to be a spontaneous action to her. You plan it out, but to her, the majority of days she's going on the date, probably having a good time, and then she's expecting the guy's going to text her or call her, if not that night, the next morning with a good morning text and, hey, beautiful, and just so you know, I had a great time on the date and blah, 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 blah. And guess what? She's not dating those guys anymore because it's too predictable. It's not a mystery to her. She already knows when she goes on this date, they're going to call, but then she goes on a date with you. She has a great time. She's like, all right, this guy's going to call me too. So I just wait, And then the night passes, no text. The next day passes, no text, no call. The second day passes, no text, no call. Now she's thinking, what's going on? Like, I like this guy. At least I kind of like him. I knew from the first date I had a good time with him, but he's not letting me know what's going on. He hasn't texted or called me. Is he interested in me? Is he seeing other women? I don't know what's going on. He may never call me. And then so she gets to that fourth day and she's like, man, I mean, I had a good time, but I guess he's not going to call me anymore. And man, I really wish that things had worked out. And wait, let me check my phone. Oh my God. I didn't expect this text. I may never hear from him again. You know what? I'm going to text him back and say, I'd love to go out with you again. And that's what I mean by spontaneity. But when you're laying out plans, hey, just so you know, I have no intention of playing games and I'm going to call you every morning with a good morning text and I'm going to make sure that I ask you out once a week, blah, blah. Yeah, you're laying out the table for her and you're letting her know what's going on, but is she excited now? Is she intrigued by if you're going to call her or not? Is she excited about the fact that you're going to eventually call her, but she can't figure out when? You've taken all that away from her and now she is starting to get a little bored versus the guy that didn't do all that stuff. And she's like on pins and needles anticipating his call and his text. So this is why, again, you try to spell all these intentions. You're thinking, I'm going to lay it out on the table. Men need that. We like to be the ones that know everything. They like to kind of just sit back, relax, and let things happen when they happen. I ain't got to know when they're happening. I ain't got to know where we're going on a date. I just need to know that at some point it's going to happen, and I'll know that happens when you hit me up. All right, real talk. The fourth con as to what can happen when you tell her your intentions, and this is one that guys don't think about, right, is that when you tell her your intentions, she may actually think that you're a liar when you're doing that, which can actually cause her to have less trust in you. Because again, if you're dating a woman, by the time she's like her mid-20s, early 30s, she has heard all the guys promise all the things about all the stuff they're going to do and the ways they're going to be and not going to be and how they're going to be different from their ex-boyfriend and that guy was such a jerk, I'd never do this thing or whatever. And she gets to you and you say the same thing. The same thing that the last 10 days she went on said, oh, I would never do this. And I fully intend to blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to ever ghost you. And I'm going to always be sure to text this and that. And she's sitting there thinking like, just like the last guy, he said the same thing, said the same words, promised the same actions, and that didn't come through. So how is this guy different? Because the last 9 guys promised the same stuff. And so this is where I tell you guys that actions are going to speak louder than words, because you don't have to tell a woman, hey, I intend to ask you out. You can just ask her out, take her on a date, show her a good time, wait a few days, hit her up again. Oh, look, he must have had a good time because he hit me up. Versus, hey, I promise I'm going to text and call, blah, blah, and then you miss one text, you miss one call. And it's like, oh, see, he's a liar, just like all the other ones. And now you're out for sure. So I know that you're thinking that if you just lay out everything that you're going to do for this girl, that you're going to help to further establish trust, but you're not taking into account the experience that women have of somebody just like you doing that before and it not working out. So you don't need to say anything because you don't need to promise anything early on that you may or may not do. Hey, you may take her on a date and have a bad time, but now you said at the end of the date, I want to see you again. And now she's sitting there blowing up your phone like, you jerk, you ghosted me. You said you wouldn't do this, blah, 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 because you promised that you had these intentions and you intended to ask her out. So you don't set yourself up for that. And you don't set her up to be disappointed by you and actually lose trust in you by promising things that you may or may not end up doing. And then the fifth reason that, in my opinion, you should not tell her your intentions is because it now sets up an unrealistic expectation for her behavior. Because what you're doing is you're trying to hedge your bets. You're trying to say, okay, what's the best way? I had a good time on this date. What's the best way that I can make sure she's going to hit me up and call me again? Well, you know what? If I tell her that I had a good time on this date and that I intend to call her and text her and ask her out and do some other things with her, then she's going to realize that this is a serious thing I'm trying to get into, and she's going to do the same for me. So now you're unexpectedly placing expectations on her. Hey, I'm going to text you and call you in the morning. Now she's like, great. Now I got to be ready in the morning for this guy's text and call so I can text and call him back. What if she had a busy morning? What if she had a meeting that morning? What if she just had an okay time, but needs time to sit with herself and think about you? And you're already like, well, I'm texting you. You got to text back right away. I told you and said, I want to take you to that spot that you mentioned. Why aren't you saying yes to it? Like, you don't want to put a woman into a frame of mind or situation whereby she now feels as though she is forced to choose you. When women feel like they're forced to choose you, that's when they really start to go away. And by you spilling out all these intentions, you're thinking it's great. She's going to know everything about what I want to do. And she's thinking, do I have to sign up for this program? Like, again, we just met. It's date one. I don't know if I want to see him again, but now I'm setting up to be the person that has to answer his texts, answer his calls, has to say yes to a date, has to go meet his friends and family. And she might not be there yet. So this is why it's better to go with the flow and not be so intent on trying to tell intentions.
What the French toast? What the French toast?